Over the past month or so, there's been a massive growth in the number of people finding out about an initiative called Stop Killing Games. Now, what Stop Killing Games about is this idea of planned obsolescence of digital products that we're purchasing, often seemingly under the guise that it is a purchase of a good, something that we can own forever, whereas actually we might just be purchasing a license to use or rent. Now, this petition currently has over 1,320,000 signatures. They were trying for a goal of 1 million signatures, which would get the EU Parliament to debate it. There was also a UK petition around this too, to prevent publishers from kind of removing your access to video games or leaving games in an unplayable state after a certain amount of time, a kind of planned expiration, if you will. And this has reached close to 200,000 signatures, which is beyond the goal of having 100,000. So this will actually get debated live in Parliament in the UK. Now, in the US, there isn't such a petition. The idea being that by motivating the EU and the UK to change their terms of sale and to prevent removal of access, that the US will follow suit because the EU and UK represent such a large portion of the games market. But the interesting thing here is this is not just limited to video games. If we go back what seems almost like a lifetime ago to 2009, there was an issue where Amazon started removing books, ebooks from people's Kindles, and everybody started to freak out. What does this mean? That the store that I'm using can come in and then remove my access to those books, somehow come onto my personal device and start deleting things, supposedly without my consent. This goes all the way back to 2009, and I mentioned it. See, the article is more than 15 years old. So this is hardly a new area of discussion. It's just one that's come back into the forefront. This is where owners of the electronic book reader, aka the Kindle, were finding out that they were having copies of George Orwell's 1984, which, if you know much about the book, is very fitting, having those books removed from their devices. Now, theoretically, Amazon refunded the cost in this case of the books. It was a moment where people started discussing what it actually means to own something in a digital form, especially if it can be removed from you. And that touched a lot of the same issues that Stop Killing Games, or for the EU version, Stop Destroying Video Games, touches upon. Destroying video games, I guess it's because of EU needing to be a little bit more politically correct, same way that they have Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles instead of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over in the EU. So anyway, is what it is. But this idea to stop destroying video games, the concepts, this kind of philosophy of ownership has been touched on before. And if we go to something along the lines of Prime Video, you might be, oh, it's kind of $4, $5 to rent a video. Why don't I just buy the video? So you have this idea of available to rent or buy, but are you actually buying? You know, what does buying mean in this scenario? Are you buying access only through Amazon Prime Video? Is there a way for you to download the video and keep a copy for yourself? If Amazon decides to remove that video from its library, or there's some kind of dispute with other copyright holders, will that video that you thought you had purchased somehow disappear from your library? I think this is a lot of the debate that's also happening around gaming more generally. You know, if Steam game, for example, is not available on the store, is it then somehow removed from my library too? What are we actually purchasing when we buy a digital game or any digital product for that matter? Is it a license to use that game, or are we somehow buying ownership for a seemingly infinite period of time? And more, we seem to be tending towards that license ownership, where even though video games are the same price as they were 10, 15 years ago when we had physical media, we're actually buying a very different product. We're not buying a copy of the game that we can have forever. We're buying a license to access the game whilst the publishers or purveyors of that game deem it appropriate and in their best interest to provide it. Say they create a new version of that game, maybe we want to expire the old version to encourage people to purchase the new version. So despite how publishers are characterizing this, this is much more, I believe, of a debate around what is ownership, and the fact that many of these online digital goods that we're purchasing are put forward as being bought. You're buying the copy of this item. You're not renting it. You're not getting a license. The terminology that's been using is buy. But what exactly does buy mean? Well, it seems more and more we're buying licenses. We're not actually buying the film, the book, or the game. Digital ownership today seems to be much more of an illusion rather than being actual ownership. So my suggestion is you check out these different petitions. If you're in the EU, you have this main one, and if you're in the UK, you have this other petition. Not necessarily because you perfectly believe about what the petition is putting forward, that in this example, the video games should not be proactively destroyed or expired when they're purchased, but you want to have a debate and a discussion in public around what it means to purchase and own something digitally. Because today it seems like the definitions and the way in which digital purchases are made, managed, and kind of looked into and handled in the future as ownership continues, or you hold a license, is there any bad faith actions that are happening? These petitions are a great way of bringing into public discourse the issues around digital ownership. So I suggest you check them out, and if you feel so inclined and you live in the UK or EU, give them a signature. Hopefully, at a minimum, this will mean that there'll be more clarity and more transparency when you're purchasing items online, that it's a license, it's not a lifetime purchase or guarantee of access. We're more renting these products and goods than buying them. At least that's what it seems today. Now, if you've lost something that you own digitally and you weren't able to get it back, drop it in the comments. It'd be interesting to hear about all of your experiences. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Okay, see ya.